You're watching NFL Daily live here on Chat Sports. Chase Sr. and Tom Downey here with you. Let's get into the latest news and rumors on the Seattle Seahawks, and big news for Russell Wilson and the Seahawks today because Tyler Lockett signed a contract extension. It's a nice one for him. 4 years, $69+ million with $37 million guaranteed. The most important number there, 69.
Yes.
But the winner here, Russell Wilson as well, because he gets one of his prime targets, Tom.
Keep Russ happy. It also helps the Seahawks. Now, I was a little surprised we haven't seen more extensions yet coming out of Seattle. I think a guy like Jamal Adams could also be in line in the not-too-distant future. This contract from a new money, the extension money only, makes Lockett a top 10 highest paid receiver in the NFL. Something I think he's absolutely worth, especially with the way contracts work. On top of that, Lockett's coming off a fantastic year of 100 catches, 1,000 yards, 10 scores, nice even numbers there. This move actually saves Seattle cap space in the short term. This is why extensions make sense. You can bring down the backloaded final year of a deal and push it into the future. Lockett's cap number before this extension was set to be at around 15 million. It was a little bit on that, like 14.9. With this extension, it's probably going to bring it down to around 7 million. So they cut his cap hit by over 50%. That is significant for a team that does not have very much money at the current moment available on their cap. So I like this move a lot for Seattle.
Interested to see what the people out there think of this deal. Tyler Lockett getting an extension. This is your opportunity to hop on board and join the show. This is an interactive YouTube channel. We love hearing from our viewers. So grade the Tyler Lockett extension for us, A, B, C, D, or F. Where are you going, Tom?
I'm going A- there. It's not like the greatest value ever, but I think it's very fair. And most importantly, it helps Seattle in this current window, and that's what should matter the most.
Russell Wilson wanted protection along the offensive line. He wanted some of his weapons to return. He is getting that, and if you have to make Russell Wilson happy, that's what you have to do if you're Seattle. More news to get to with the Seattle Seahawks. Quinton Dunbar said that he had good talks with Seattle and there's mutual interest in a return. He's also set to visit some other teams this week across the NFL, so there is interest out there. And speaking of keeping Russell Wilson happy, hey, you get him some offensive line help. You re-sign and keep some of his weapons. That Seattle defense last year, Tom, was one of the worst statistically in the history of the NFL. They were giving up a ton of yardage. They were getting big played. They couldn't stop the run or the pass. Quinton Dunbar, though, was a bright spot before a nagging knee injury caused him to miss much of the season.
Yeah, it was pretty weird with the way the Seahawks defense went and the way Dunbar went down, where first couple games for Dunbar were great. The defense was not so good. He missed most of the latter part of the season. By the back half, around the time they made the move for that guy named Carlos Dunlap, the defense actually kind of righted itself there. The interest in Dunbar, I think, is very logical. It just comes down to what his medical situation looks like. Because the first 3 games for Quinton Dunbar were nothing short of fantastic. Was targeted just 24 times. A completion percentage was just above 54, 212 yards, 4 pass breakups, 1 interception, and then the 3 games after he came back from that injury and then got shelved because he was clearly just not right, all of a sudden, the completion goes way up, the yards up, 4 touchdowns, 1 pass breakup. He did not look remotely like the same guy. But if you can get what we've seen in the past from Dunbar and first 3 games, Quinton Dunbar, I think it is very reasonable to want to bring him back if you're Seattle.
Yeah, and the bonus, he's going to be 29 years old in January. Pete Carroll's obviously a defensive-oriented head coach. So Quinton Dunbar, it all comes down to health for him, and when he's on the field, he is a very reliable defensive back. So let's hear from you. Should Seattle re-sign Quinton Dunbar? Get into the comments, type Y for yes, or type N for no. What would you say, Tom?
I'm inclined to go do it. I do want to see what the medical looks like, what the contract value looks like.
Yeah.
But with where Seattle's at in terms of their cornerback room, I don't feel immensely confident in that situation. So I would love to bring back Dunbar and give myself a guy that potentially, if healthy, could be a number 1 corner.
Yeah, and we're going to get to his market here in just a second, but what do you think that market is going to be in terms of financials? If he's healthy, what do you think a team would pay him?
I kind of think it's going to be a 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah, I think so,
That's kind of my mindset.
Yeah, so let's take a look at some of the teams that are linked to Quinton Dunbar. We're talking about NFC West rival in the Arizona Cardinals, also the Detroit Lions. First-year head coach Dan Campbell's trying to build that defense up, and, of course, the Seattle Seahawks. So The Arizona Cardinals, a team that could really use some defensive help. The Detroit Lions, not really a team that makes much sense to me because they're trying to rebuild. You'd be bringing in a guy who this upcoming season is going to be 29 years old.
But they still need some corners there. By the way, those first two teams Dunbar is going to visit with, by the way.
Yep.
And now, look, I kind of mentioned the depth chart earlier. I like bringing in Ahkello Witherspoon on a 1-year, $4 million deal. I was super impressed by DJ Reed when he got to be the cornerback, too. But in terms of long-term outlook, there actually isn't much under contract on this Seahawks team. And heaven forbid Witherspoon gets hurt again, or DJ Reed regresses, or Witherspoon struggles as he's done in the past, or Marquise Blair, Ugo Amadi get hurt. I don't love the depth on this team because Trey Flowers is not that good. Yeah. So if you can bring back Dunbar at, as the Seahawks always operate, a rather cost-effective situation, I think that would be a great move by Seattle. So I don't know what's going to end up happening here, but I do think this makes a lot of sense for the Seattle Seahawks. Please explore this particular move. Oh, look, the trade conversation is back. So ESPN's Dan Orlovsky says the Eagles trading down puts them right into the Russell Wilson conversation. I've got thoughts on this one, Chase, but I want to let you take the first crack at it.
So the Philadelphia Eagles as an organization, their infatuation with Russell Wilson started back in 2012. Current general manager Howie Roseman was in the building, in the draft room with Andy Reid when the third round of the NFL draft came around. And the Eagles really wanted to draft Russell Wilson. They were obsessed with him, and they were about to pull the trigger and draft him, but what happened? The Seahawks moved up and nabbed Russell Wilson ahead of the Eagles, and the Eagles were left drafting Nick Foles. Now, it worked out for both organizations because Nick Foles has gone on to have one of the most fascinating careers of any quarterback of all time. Russell Wilson is an all-timer. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, the franchise's only ring in the history of the franchise. So it's worked out for both sides, but that was the start of the Eagles' obsession with Russell Wilson, and that has not faded because what did they do last year in the second round of the draft, Tom? They drafted Jalen Hurts. Why? Because he reminded them of Russell Wilson.
Interesting. So the Eagles have plenty of draft assets this year and also next year, right? They have the number 12 overall pick via San Francisco this year. They have, of course, their own second-round pick, number 37 overall. 2 or 3 first-round picks next year, one from Miami, their own, and potentially one via the Colts based on what happens with Carson Wentz. So Orlovsky put together this idea. Jalen Hurts to Seattle plus those 3 firsts and one other maybe first-round pick from the Indianapolis Colts. Is this enough, Chase?
It's a lot of draft capital, and if Pete Carroll in his late 60s wants to rebuild and reset the franchise, maybe this is a deal that you look at. Now, what's interesting is if they do pull off this trade, they almost turn the clocks back to when they won their first Super Bowl with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. Why is that? Because Jalen Hurts would still be on a rookie contract for a couple of years, and the Legion of Boom was thriving because Russell Wilson wasn't getting paid a monster contract, right? So if the Seahawks want to rebuild and reset, this deal makes sense for them. But I just don't see a reality in which Seattle deals away Russell Wilson. And the other thing to monitor, the Eagles were not on Wilson's trade list of destinations that he wanted to go to.
I think in the end, you guys get your votes in the comments as to who says no here. S for the Seahawks, E for the Eagles. I think pretty clearly the Seahawks say no. Because if you're moving on from Wilson with an older coach in Pete Carroll, you're trying to still win football games.
Yes.
You get multiple first-round picks, but you're picking 12, and you're picking with the Colts likely a late first-round pick, if it is a first-round pick, mid to late. Same with Miami. Maybe Philadelphia is a top 10 pick, maybe, but if they have Russell Wilson, they're not going to be top 10. So it's 3 late firsts and Jalen Hurts. You don't have a franchise quarterback.
No.
So what is the purpose for Seattle then? Hurts and 4 first-rounders. If Philadelphia wanted Wilson, they would have been better served keeping that number 6 overall pick. Because then Seattle could have taken a Justin Fields or Trey Lance. So I actually completely disagree. If the mindset is, we're going to go get a quarterback in Russell Wilson, you would have been better served having that top 7 draft pick.
Yes.
And so from that perspective, I do not think it actually makes sense for Seattle. And in general, by the way, I don't think he's getting dealt. I don't think that happens right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I wouldn't make the deal if I was John Schneider and Pete Carroll. There's no way that I would try to swap Russell Wilson for Jalen Hurts knowing that I'm getting picks back. Like, the picks aren't enough for me. Now, a team like the Chicago Bears might make more sense than a trade partner like the Eagles. Why is that? Because you can get players and draft assets back. But to swap Russell Wilson for Jalen Hurts, you are completely rebooting your franchise. And I think the narrative of Pete Carroll not wanting to rebuild and reset at 68 years old is real.
Yeah,
I know
I
he's
agree.
got that youthful exuberance to him, but he's still trying to win rings because he's still bitter about that second one that he let get away.
All right, so you guys can make your predictions now down there in the comments section. What is the percent chance that Russell Wilson plays for the Seahawks in the 2021 season? I'm going like 98%. Quick guess from you, Chase?
75.
Okay, you should have gone
75.
69, but that's okay. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section.